Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spin Rack. I'm here with the boys, PD and Kyle. Say what's up, gents.
What's going on? What's going on? Okay, there we go.
Hey, so today we're going to be talking about Netflix Defenders Hero. That it's possible that they're going to have a new how can I say, Iron Fist, and it may be a woman. So let's talk about this. Is it Colleen Wing?
Excuse me?
Is it Colleen
What?
Wing?
All right, I'm out. I'm gonna let you guys do this one.
Now,
Well, let me give you a little background from what I
We
understand.
didn't
So
get
I've been
we
looking.
didn't get Power Man and Iron Fist proper. We never really got the two of those guys working together like we enjoyed in the comics. We didn't get that. And to be honest, we barely got Danny Rand at the
yep.
end of the day because of the way they set up those shows. And now Iron Fist is going to become this legacy character, and Danny Rand was barely established. This is one of the reasons why Marvel already took a tumble. You Can we establish the
Out.
characters?
You
Can we
said you're
establish it?
out.
So
Huh?
I
You said
think.
you're out.
All right. So
I'm
I
out.
think that.
I'm out spiritually.
So I think that this is just a bit of a clickbait because I was listening to a channel by the name of Emergency Awesome. It's pretty good when you get a chance to watch him. And so he went over this whole thing too. And what he basically said is that actually Marvel's doing a number of things. He believes that Marvel's going to basically have another female Iron Fist. So
Who?
right now,
Pepper? Is Pepper? Remember Pepper had like an Iron Fist of her own? Remember?
right. So what they're going to say is that what he was saying was that number one, he said Danny Rand is coming back. The actor who plays currently Danny Rand is coming back. All the hero basically Netflix, not Netflix,
Marvel Studios.
Marvel Studios is basically canonized the entire Netflix Marvel universe. So everybody who was there, everything that happened there was there. So what had happened before is that it was run by two separate groups. Marvel Studios was doing its own thing, and then you have Marvel Comics, right? Marvel Comics, the head of Marvel Comics, was running his own thing. So they were doing the Netflix Defender, they were doing the Inhumans and stuff, and so all that stuff was totally
It was torched.
it was torched, right? Because they're like, no, I'm not. That's somebody else's stuff. We're going to do it. So then they started doing their own shows, but now the cost of those shows have ballooned, and some people believe that the way these shows have been done haven't been done to the best ability because they're being done by movie companies. So now, basically, what they're doing, they're bringing back some of the people who are TV people back in, and some of those guys who had experience with these characters. So that's what's happening now. So the thought is, since they're bringing these guys back, they're bringing back everybody. So the thing where everybody hated Danny Rand, they hated the actor who played him, they hated because he wasn't a master of the martial arts when he first started. This time they think they're going to bring him back to kind of redeem the character. I don't know if he's going to be a main character or whatever, but that he will come back.
Everyone
Marvel doesn't throw anybody away. So
everyone didn't like Danny Rand. They were okay with Colleen Wing until Colleen Wing got the Iron Fist.
well, if you look at the whole history, they're saying the whole history that there are female Iron Fists in the past, right? And so this is where I was going to go. Colleen Wing is now Iron Fist along with Danny Rand, and that I think they're talking about exploring series the history of the different Iron Fists because there've been different Iron Fists throughout.
Kunlun. That's where the other Iron Fists were.
Right.
They were
So-
masters. They were masters of
Right.
you say Kung Fu or Kung Fu. They were masters out there in Kunlun. That
Right,
was the
so-
whole point of it.
But now they're saying that they're going to be surprised. I don't know if they're going to go back into the past, but this is what Emergency Awesome is saying. And usually a lot of his predictions come true because he usually has an ear to the ground, and he's not as speculative as some of these other guys are. But I thought that was very interesting. So it's possible to have definitely two Iron Fists running around. Probably Colleen Wang would be the big.
No, that's
But-
not interesting. That's not interesting.
But the new series that they
2099 Iron Fist 2099 can be your female Iron Fist. As of present day, there should be one, and that's what made the whole idea of when Danny Rand ran into Steel Serpent, a character who tried to get the Iron Fist and only got the snake, and then was going after to steal it, right? But it wasn't something that could be controlled because Danny Rand went through the whole thing, and that's why he can control the Iron Fist and consume them. You can't turn it into like a Green Lantern's ring where someone else could pick it up and use it. You can't do that.
Right, but they've had several characters who are Iron Fist. Even in the comics, they've had certain in the recent.
As I said, there was Iron Fist at that present time, and then there was Steel Serpent, a person who didn't measure up to it. It wasn't a group of Iron Fists. It was a unique thing. Now saying, hey, because in some later comic book, someone else had it in the League of Iron Fists, and that sort of nonsense. It's just like, you want to introduce a character as a single character, not try to create some sort of
Let me guess. He tried to make that. He tried to make that argument that what we've had female Iron Fists in the comics before, right? He tried to make that argument.
Yeah. So I'm fighting against that to say, ultimately, you want to have the uniqueness. You're starting out. You have the history of Kung Lun, which has all of the history of that stuff. Not saying here's another Iron Fist and they slap Iron Fist 5s and it's like this one guy. The idea was like there was pictures that Byrne did that made him look exactly like Chuck Norris in like Good Guys Wear Black, where he was just a man of action. That was the basic character, where it's just like, and that's what you do here. But they had a guy who was kind of too altruistic, giving away his money. Like, yeah, Danny Rand didn't waste his time working the business part because he had Meacham, the female Meacham. The guy Meacham was terrible, which they played up in the thing. But he had this connection to the business. But ultimately, they were attacking the business, and he was giving them the business with his Iron Fist. And I
get what you're saying. I'm just saying that we have history. If you see in the chat right now,
no, we don't have. We have present.
There have been
short-term history.
And so if we're using
short-term history, not history. Short-term history of a couple of lines adding the League of Iron Fist.
How far is short? How far before you consider it long-term? Does it have to be 30, 40, 50 years? Or does it just have to be 50 years?
Yes, it needs to be 30, 40, 50 years.
Oh, my God.
Because Danny Rand...
Get out of here.
Danny Rand as a character. Danny Rand as a character is over 50 years old.
Yep.
So,
but characters evolve. So if we use the same characters Superman had in the 1930s to what he is now.
If you're going to come in bad faith, okay, this is just gonna turn into something adversarial. I just made a valid point. Danny Rand is over 50 years old. You're talking about a history that's going to supersede the origin of this character? Well, come on. Okay, we barely got to know this character, and he is the inception of the Iron Fist, even if you want to throw all the extra history in. So that history is what? If that history is even 5 years old, or 10 years old, 50 years, or 15 years old, it's still, okay, less than the established character. We didn't get this character. So I understand the other arguments, but you can't make a diversity argument for Danny Rand and the Iron Fist when you have all these other female characters running around, all these other minority characters running around, and you never did justice to this character.
That's a different argument. I think when you're saying, did they do justice to the character? That's a different argument. But we're talking about whether or not there could be. And when you say that the first Iron Fist...
Oh, it's not a different argument because I already said it de-uniques the character. He's not unique.
That's I don't know. It plays the same thing. If you're trying to, I think, well, look, if they're saying like, hey, the Iron Fist, was Danny Rand the first Iron Fist or was he in a line of Iron Fist?
We're not bringing those ones back.
No, I'm asking a question. It's just a simple question.
I said that would be your history.
Danny Rand is the first Iron Fist. Everything else is a retcon. And that's the fact. So that answers your question.
He's trying to go to the comic history of saying that there are people in the past that got Iron. Yes. In Kunlun, yes. But that doesn't relate to present day where there's only Iron Fists, right? There's not the League of Iron Fists. There's not people to go to train, so we got to fight this army. So everyone is getting the Iron Fist and like a thing unto iron. It's one guy that freaking, they don't even decide, you know what, we should do we should do narration like the freaking, like the captions in there. Like, you are Iron Fist. You are stuck in this, you're stuck in this hole. You have to do this. And you turn the thing unto iron. Like, do Iron Fist a single solo character. You want to do a Kunlun history, you establish Iron Fist first. And it's so successful, we're like, now we need to do a prequel where we go into Kunlun and you stay there. You don't immediately go in and say, here, Kunlun versus Asgard, which is what they do, because you don't have any ideas. Or we're going to have Kunlun versus the Mandarin now. all that nonsense. We fought against the League of Iron Fist, fought against the Ten Rings. It's like, get out of here. It's all bad ideas. You might as well be writing stuff.
Yo,
Bad though.
dude, I'm just saying what's there, right? That's what I'm trying to say.
So, got me
You
so
may
upset.
disagree or not. You know, you can disagree all you want. I'm just saying this is what they're there, and that's what they're talking about could be used. Perfectly understand. I mean, look, the same thing like in the Avatar universe. If you watch Avatar, the Last Airbender, there's only one Airbender at any one time, right?
Okay,
Right?
yeah. What do you make?
Yeah,
What's your point then?
Theoretically, what you guys are saying, there's only one Iron Fist at any one time, and now that you have
No, I'm not saying that at all.
I'm trying to help your argument here. Okay.
No, I don't need help with my argument. My argument stands and my argument is valid. Okay. And to be honest, it's no argument. Danny Rand is the Iron Fist. Everything else came later. Everything else came later. It's like when they did you read what was it, Avengers 1 million BC?
No, I didn't read that one, but I saw it. I saw it.
Avengers 1 million BC. Yeah, Avengers 1 billion BC established that there was like an Iron Fist in BC times of 1 billion.
Yeah,
Odin was running around. There was a Black Panther 1 billion BC, and all these other characters they want to say a legacy. Okay, that story is what, 5 years old? If that story is now supposed to supplant 60, 70 years worth of history, that's ridiculous.
And you're gonna have Danny Rand coming around teaching Colin Wing, telling her the dangers of the Iron Fist. It could consume you, and then it turns into the same movie that they're gonna do with Blade, where Blade is teaching his daughter how to become a daywalker. Like, come on, it's all the same crappy idea. Like, oh, that'll bring all the female. Like, you got female stories, right? You don't have to decide. We need to play this thing out because we've been wanting to do that. You already did the Iron Fist thing with Pepper. So it's like, why are we going to do another thing like that? Do Iron Fist, do the stories, do the sort of all the action, and just play with that stuff. Not waste your time in saying we got to have this struggle between him and Colin Wing or whoever they plan on making the female Iron Fist, and him trying to teach her the ways of the mistakes I made. You got to learn. Hey, we only said, but I can't assume the Iron Fist anymore. It's the mantle's too much for me, but now you can do it. Like, I trust you with it. I don't trust myself anymore. Like all that nonsense dialogue that you sit around and make up after 2 seconds in a room and say, yeah, we did it. We made sense of it.
So here, what do you guys suggest Marvel do? Let's hear what you guys have. I mean, this is Marvel's plan. What's your idea?
Cast a new Iron Fist, make sure he's cool, and have him kicking ass. That's all you need to do, and work in the dialogue so it's in the third person. Where you're sitting around there saying, you just do a straightforward action nonsense with no crappy pretext of struggling with something. He's not a character. He has this thing of past of losing his parents, right? That's the thing. But at the same time, he's out there taking action, not needing to learn anything. He just hears these guys attacking the company that look like the guys you see in the karate movie, right?
Hands.
Huh? Not the hand. Come on, there got to be more than just the hand. You get some colorful in Iron Fist, which was actually in Master and Code they had colorful villains. They had a group of colorful things. There's a ton of characters that came even after when I was reading the original series. Introduce some of those villains, some of the cool villains that they had there, and just have them fighting and kicking behind. That's what the story's about. Get some.
I don't know if they want to go back. I think they want to go forward, right?
That's not going forward.
It's not even going. How's that going back? Going back to what? You never did the stories. You have to do the stories first, and then you can say, okay, well, we're going back. You never did the stories.
Yep.
He did the stories. He did this. I'm saying he's already Heroes for Hire. Weren't those stories some of those stories? Like when he was fighting Steel Serpent. I think he fought Steel Serpent in
Are you talking about the comic books, or are you talking about the screen? If it's the screen, they never did it. They never did any of that.
Right. So they moved on.
So we never got to see the dragon. We didn't get to see Kung Lun because the budget was so small. The dragon was just two red eyes.
Yeah, there you go. The whole part. The thing, and they didn't play it up that much. I was showing you the moment where you have Danny Rand with no hair going in there and going and actually grabbing the dragon, and the next thing you know, he has it, and having the moment where you go to Steel Serpent where he fails and go against the dragon, and he gets scarred by the thing. But this is the person that's slowly stalking him, taking the Iron Fist slowly and slowly, and then have the heroic moment where he loses, but then at the same time that consumes Steel Serpent, and Danny Rand is the one who comes in the last day where no one, not even Spider-Man, can do anything about it, and Danny Rand comes in and saves the day. That's an Iron Fist story. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, Iron Fist was a backup feature in Deadly Hands of Kung Fu magazine, and so you got. I think the origin they didn't get. They did his origin in Deadly Hands of Kung Fu magazine, and I think it was a little bit different than what you got in Marvel Premiere. But it's expanded and some great stories. You got him fighting Steel Serpent there as well. But I think that's part of the problem. Most people. I mean, look, I'll be frank. Unless you've read this character's, stories and you understand what really makes this character work, you don't really care. So if they take Danny Rand, they're like, let's move him out, let's put a chick here. You can always do the Hollywood justification. Oh well, let's see, it's here, so we can do that. But those were not the stories. Okay, the stories with the female Iron Fist, these are not the stories that got people to read. Okay, the stories that got people to read and make this character viable for over 50 years were the stories with Danny Rand and the stories with him having a great partnership and friendship with Luke Cage Power Man and them being in Hero for Hire. None of that stuff has really been touched. None of it. They decided that these two were going to be like adversarial to each other for ridiculous reasons. But then the big malpractice of it is that this is all untapped source material that you already know has been successful. You know it's been successful, if only for the lifespan of the character. And these guys are averse to it, like it's a bowl full of the pox or something. And it makes no sense whatsoever. Like, I understand you want to come up with your own ideas, good, but your own ideas, that's fine. Your ideas haven't worked. Okay, your ideas have not been efficacious in terms of these characters. Maybe you should go back to actually what worked, and you can build from that. But instead, we're still getting more of these things where we have to make gender swaps, we have to make race swaps. We're gonna do our own stories. We're gonna create our own universe. But your universe is not clicking because it's based on an established universe that you refuse to tap. And they've got to admit that to themselves at some point. Okay, what Petey said was correct. Just if you're going to recast, that's fine. But please make certain that this guy actually get a chance to get some training. Okay, so he can come to screen and nobody's going to have to criticize him. Oh, he doesn't look like he can fight it all. No, do it right. Okay, give him some cool adventures. Pay attention to some of the source material. There's a reason for it. This is not a character you're creating out of whole cloth. And then we should have something that's going to resonate well with viewers, and you can go from there, at least initially. And then if you got some good story ideas, hey, go for it. But I doubt it, because the approach to a lot of these characters is that these characters are silly and stupid, and we have to do these things in order to fix them so we can give it to an audience. We can give it to an audience of adults so they'll actually like it. And that is the position, unfortunately, for too many of these Marvel shows right now.
And you also, to add to that, if you're going to start with the female one, and it got it from some soft way, the same way that Steel Serpent did, you slowly have to show that they can handle it. And this is why Danny Rand is the guy that has to be Iron Fist. You can't cry like, oh, well, that shows that women no. They could do some other tasks, and that's the thing. You shouldn't have it where, you know what, in actuality, Peter Parker could do it. In actuality, no. The only person in this situation is going to be him, because he's set in Kunlun learning all this stuff. He was Iron Fist, the living weapon. That is the hook of the character, right? And they added a whole bunch of other stuff to it, which makes it great. So then you show him being the living weapon, right? They're hard to deal with, and at the same time, even if the X-Men at some point can deal with them, it's like, whole point he comes into a room and he's just tough to handle. Which at some point the comic pros will say, but this guy is human. Like, this guy's actually human. So ultimately, if the Iron Fist hits the Hulk is not going to hurt the Hulk. It's like, well, it's already shown the Iron Fist can knock away Captain America's shield. It should be pretty much powerful against everybody else. So play to the stuff that makes it cool. Don't play to the stuff where we have to establish what a hero is. well, he's a hero and he's rich, so basically going to give away money. Like, that's not. Danny Rand could care less about the money. He's out there helping people. He doesn't even figure the point. The one of the high points of the series is where he's helping his friends, and it's like this Irish guy, and he turns to Iron Fist and he's like, Danny, are you some kind of a superhero or something like that? And he's like, no, I guess I am. Like that's an Iron Fist moment where he doesn't even know after like 12 issues that he's a superhero. He's just been going out and handling business. Don't take away so you can build up, have a character interact, so you can have Danny Rand talking to the person about Kunlun and the Iron Fist, or the person learning from Danny Rand. So it said, see, we connected it to it. Go through the whole Iron Fist stuff and don't do any. You don't have enough time. There's no time to spend. You're not going to get an end game's worth of story with any of this, especially the way you're playing. So if you don't do Iron Fist and you don't do the story as is, you're wasting us time giving us another character. So I don't know. So what? Marvel Studio owns this new character. If it's not Colleen Wing, so it's a whole new character off the cloth, and you just wasted our time. So when we get to the female Avengers, it's only going to be female Avengers with a couple of guys who are, some guys that are kind of like the old guard saying, "Go in there and fight for do your thing, girls. We love you. We're doing it for ourselves. To feel like girlfriends. We're gonna
Well,
be."
no, they got to just do this. Eventually, we got to get the reverse. Because since Captain Marvel became a legacy title, then eventually you can get rid of Carol Danvers, and we can just get a new Marvel in the suit. That would be great, right?
You can't.
That works. Let's do that. No, we're never going to see that happen.
And why? How can you be so with this? Honestly, let's be honest right here. Why are you, after all of the failings that Marvel's done, why would you think this is going to work?
Doesn't think it's going to work. He's trolling.
I'm not trolling. All I'm saying is that this is what Marvel is doing, right?
Hold on. Let me get a good look at his face. Yeah, that's what I thought. Trolling.
I'm not trolling. I'm just saying this is what they're doing. You guys are just upset, right? And you know what? Those who love the beloved character definitely are upset. We were all upset when this incarnation of Danny Rand that was so featured in Netflix, where he was stored. But is it the actor? But we agree the story was not up to par. They did not do a good enough job with the character and the development of the character. And so this is where you have the opportunity to change things. I mean, I remember watching Arrow when it first started, and the actress who played Black Canary, something happened, right? So they made the Felicity, I forgot her name, Felicity, the love interest in the show. And so you're like, wait, but everybody knows Arrow goes with Black Canary. I mean, they even have their own comic together. But the fans by that time liked that particular character. And
that was the downfall of that show.
Huh?
And that became the downfall of that show that put a dividing line in that show, and you know it. When they started talking about that Olicity nonsense, that polarized people. Because people were like, no, he's supposed to be with Laura, but we like Felicity. And finally, the girl who's not the pretty one is going to get the guy. And blah, blah, blah. All that did was put a dividing line through that show, and that was the beginning. That was it.
Yo, you crazy, bro.
Walk right into that. Walk right into it.
Look, but I mean, that's the only point I'm trying to make is this, that this buggy is out the stable, right? And so I don't think Marvel's going to do a 360 and say, you know what, scrap it. If they're already saying they're canonizing the entire Netflix universe, Marvel universe as is, that means he is who he is and she is who she is, right? And so now we have two Iron Fists in the Marvel universe as is. What we're discussing is whether or not there's going to be a third Marvel universe where that would be another female other than Colleen Wing. You can scratch your eye, bat your eye, rub your head, jump up and down. It ain't changing. This is what's happening now. Okay, so that's all I'm trying to say. I'm here. I'm the voice of reason to you two.
You go too easy into the meat grinder when they take the ideas and they just turn it into the meat grinder with no problem. It's just like, let's just grind it to nothing. Let's grind what was the idea of the thing of. That's the thing. What was it? Because what was it? I think at some point someone was they were on the Burn site. They were talking about it, and they were like, they said the Burn, which obviously he's had him the back and forth with Chris Claremont, and they asked him. They said, and in the captions, the third person, what's up with that? And he was like, so you don't like that? And he did it. You are Iron Fist. He like wrote it in there, and it's just like, yeah, that was the cool part of it. Like, don't sit around and immediately say, well, what we got to fix with this idea? Like, no, first you try to translate the costume as best you can, and if you're not worth your salt to do that, then try to keep as much of the idea and say, oh, look at all these cool characters and villains that they fought. Can we have some villains here? No, we need to have some strife between Iron Fist and the female for Iron Fist, else we don't have a story. We need to have them arguing. Wouldn't it be like, that's the thing? The cool part, one of the cool parts with Colleen Wing, because she was just his connection and one of his closest friends. And I think on the cover,
Now she's his love interest.
no, she wasn't the love interest.
I'm saying,
No,
but I'm saying now,
that was Misty Knight until they turned Misty Knight into the jump off.
Jump off, don't run up on the mouth too much, but jump off. Anyway, look at it. That's the thing. Look, you can't. The thing of it is, you look at if you go through that's the thing. You go through the comics, you pull out all the designs, you put them on your wall, say, I want them to fight some of these guys. They say, in the budget, we can do 2 or 3 of these guys. All right, we'll play this out for the year. He's gonna fight these type of guys. Not the Hand, because you already got the Hand, and you can't really do much with them besides do them in black or red type of geese and that sort of thing. You have a ton of different cool super kind of super villain looks for these martial artists. So do that, and then play up the whole thing. And the hard part was when you got to a point where they had Misty and Iron Fist. They had a breakup within the regular series. They came to odds, even though they're together, and they had this moment where it should have been, Colleen Wing and Danny Rand get together. They went through this whole next stretch was just the two of them. They had these moments where they had to connect cheese and all that stuff. They fighting, what's the name? Iron Fist is blind, beat the hell out of who's that guy? Sabretooth. Beat him up blind. And then once you get Misty comes back, right before he almost died, they're back in love. So didn't all that stuff he went through with Colleen, they never got to a point where they said, well, he's moving on. Nope. They were just, as far as they were close friends that they always was, right? And that's the whole key to it, is not merely saying, you know what, we're going to go this way. When you had a good thing where you had this cop who was kind of this investigator, who was Misty, who was kind of like, I'm iffy on what you're doing here. And she had her own side ways of doing things. So they had this thing, but they somehow connected, and you built because of that. It didn't matter, even if they hadn't been together for a while. When they get back, it's like, we're back. So I'm saying, all that's your story, not your story of sitting around here, him trying to teach her like Mr. Miyagi, because that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna do the next Karate Kid.
Right, but
Let's not act like we don't know what they're doing.
I think you're focused on the wrong thing. Remember,
I'm focused on the right thing.
I'm saying
the next Karate Kid.
I sent you a list of Marvel villains for Iron Fist, but the problem is some of them kind of blur into one another. That's one. And number two, now they're basically a heroes for hire already. So probably Sabretooth can come in.
Master Khan blurs into Sabretooth?
No, I said you already have like Master
Steel Serpent?
Zhao
Master?
Yeah. Not push me. Of course, we're picking out
for all
the
you
most
guys
obvious
who are always bigging up Sabretooth, for all you guys are always bigging up Wolverine versus Sabretooth, remember, Iron Fist handled them with no problem blind. Okay? Remember that, all you Wolverine fans. Remember that.
All right. Look, I think we're moving on. So basically,
blur together. What kind of thing?
Why don't you show so the fans can see what you're discussing or failing to show?
Isn't even the ones I was talking about, but you want to go there?
Yeah.
You waste the audience's time? This is what you want to do, right? I'm starting on the back. These are characters I don't even know. This is not even the ones that I would go to, right? Well, this is how he started. Sabretooth is up the top here. What's the connect? How did they blur into Master Khan? How did they blur?
Because he's probably one of the older ones.
Oh my God,
They're just choosing villains, right?
Steel
You got
Serpent.
Daedalus right there.
How does Steel
Iron Fist is
Serpent?
one.
We got three. None of them blur together.
Who says they blur together? I'm just
You
saying.
did. You
Oh,
said
not these three. Oh, sorry, not these three. I'm saying continue on as you go further down.
Bushmaster. Even though we already had a Bushmaster, we get.
Yeah, I don't think that'll work.
Why wouldn't it work? He was already in the what's the name? He was on the TV show. He was a whole series. Was it the second season of it or first? I can't remember. It's been a long time I have to see it again. But he's already a villain. Death Sting. Hey, what's wrong with that?
You know, Crane Mother. I think we got Crane Mother already in for the Hand, right? Zhao Cheng, Immortal
Oh, there's nothing wrong with this character. I don't have a problem with. I'm just saying.
Yazu.
Okay, well, this is your blur part, right? These two at the end. At the same time, if you look at it, I'm just saying I put that on your board. I put this character on your board, and I would go to the first what's the names, and I'll put them on the board. And too, if I could steal Sabretooth back from the X-Men, I would put him on the board, and just say I need people from the. But most of it is like having cannon fodder to do like Bruce Lee, where he's just beating the hell out of 3 million people.
Right, but what I'm saying, you already had 2 or 3 of them already show up already. So I mean, what's the point? You know what I'm trying to say? You're trying to say that they're not using any of
What's
the
the point?
Bushmaster's been there. We see
What's the point?
Daedalus, Silver Serpent's there. Look, the point is that let's get back to the original question here.
Here we go.
Another female Iron Fist. They were going to do it. The question is, will it be Colleen Wing, or will they bring back somebody else? All right, that's all we're talking about. We're not talking about all this other.
Missy's bionic arm is going to have the Iron Fist now. Like,
that sounds like something they would do. That sounds right up your. That sounds like something you would do, Mars. That's right up your alley.
All right, so listen, let's move on to another subject. Are we all in agreement here that it's okay for Marvel to have a female Iron
Hollywood
Fist?
Nonsense like that. Give her the Iron Fist and a bionic arm.
So, like I was saying, let's wrap it up. I'll do a little replay, and for
you wrap it up.
The big lie. This is what we call the big lie. Go to the big lie. Like they say with the TV screen, the movie people used to shoot on square screens, and then they said, hey, they did the letterbox, and they lied because they were still shooting the square screens. They were just cropping it like this. That's a big lie. That's a testament of what you're about to do. Sell on scrap, we know it's not good.
After such an insult, what can I say? I think we're just going to leave it off as now. Spinarak
out.
I cannot.
I didn't close it out, so you want to ream us out while we're still on the air?